Hi guys, great to see you again. We're on episode 7. I can't believe it. It's like so this is rushing past. It was only yesterday we were doing episode 1.
You're
And
so
how is
right.
it even made?
Absolutely. I've just got back from a few days holiday, but I just cannot believe that we're virtually in the middle of the year. Lots going on. Really, really busy. Across the industry, lots going on.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think from conversations I've had, and certainly from sort of what I see happening in the in the legal market, I think it certainly has picked up, and there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. Well, I just saw this
There's a
morning.
yeah, isn't there?
There is. There is. I just saw this morning that Mathnasium, under the leadership of John Preston, have just opened another centre this week. So they're up to 26 centres, and I think that it's the 5th one this year. So they're opening one centre a month at the moment. So, and I think there's lots of
Wow.
other stories like that as well. I mean, if you look at James and Johnny at the Football Fun Factory, they're bringing on franchisees quite rapidly. Amrit at Wallfinch, along with his team, have just opened in St Albans. And so the list goes on, which is really great news.
Yeah, Snap
Yeah.
Snap seem to be opening gyms at a fast rate as well. It's one I've been
Yeah.
keeping an eye on. Yeah, it's
Good.
it's great, isn't it?
Well, everyone will be wanting to get into shape for summer holidays, so gyms are going to be popular,
Yeah,
right?
it's true.
Exactly. Yeah. One of the things that I wanted to talk about today was something which came out of the recent franchise innovation think tank, which, as you guys know, Ed Purnell, along with Andy Henderson and myself, have been running on a quarterly basis. But at the last meeting in Birmingham, the in-person meeting, James Cutting and Johnny Martin came along from the Football Fun Factory, and they brought along Ollie Kane, who is their full-time content creator. Now, of course, so this follows on from our conversation, the last episode 6, when we were talking about content and how important it is. And this was borne out by what James and the team are doing at Football Fun Factory. For 6.5 hours, content was being captured. Now, we haven't seen any of that content. We've seen very limited amounts of that content so far over the social media channels. But I'm absolutely assured that over time we are going to see lots of pieces come out of that, which I think was I use the word it's genius, but it's not genius. It's not really not in today's world. But I know of 2 franchisors who walked out of that meeting saying, "We need a content creator."
Yeah.
And again, Kevin, you've got all the experience and thoughts on this, but it suddenly struck me that franchisors in today's world who are wondering what to do with their marketing budget through their ad funds, etc., a lot of them might well be placed to say, you know what, we'll take some of that and we'll pay a content creator to get us out over all the platforms, whether it be X or Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Facebook. I might be wrong, but it seems to me that all franchisors have a place on social media somewhere. Kevin, what are your thoughts?
I think what those guys are doing really makes my job a lot easier, because I just say, look, what they're doing, right? That you could be doing that, or you could be at least starting down that road. It just makes it very easy. So I think people, there's a well-known chap called Marcus Sheridan. I probably mentioned on this podcast before. He's written a book. I usually have it on my desk actually, called "They Ask You Answer," and he's got a whole philosophy around this. And he feels every business is a media company, right? It's just that most of them don't realize it. And what James and the guys at Football Fan Factory are demonstrating is they get it. They get that they're actually, in some ways, in the market, they are as much a media company, and as a franchisor for their franchisees, they're as much a media company as they are a football company. And that if they're going to grow it, they provide the amount of footage and promotion that they provide the franchisees. that alone is worth the franchise fee. That's how they put it. And I totally agree with them, because if you look at what they are providing their franchisees compared to what most franchisors are providing the franchisees, i.e. virtually nothing, like who wouldn't want to go and be no wonder they're getting so many franchisees, because people can see it, they can feel it, in all of that media content before they get anywhere near contacting James. They can follow them, they can stalk them, they can imagine what it's like. It just seems such a fun place to be, right? Because they put out so much good content.
Yeah, it's quite incredible. They're finding leads for their franchisees, so new consumers. They're finding new franchisees themselves coming straight to head office.
Yeah.
They've got even potential franchisors who have got businesses reaching out and saying, is there a space in the market for me to be a franchisor? I've been watching you grow the brand. It's it's quite incredible. So, the cost of having somebody that, on our last podcast, Kevin, you spoke about hiring a videographer for the days at the shows. You know, but you've got 3 shows a year. You could just about employ somebody to be
Yeah.
around all day long. Yeah.
Well, what I've done, I mean, in a way, that's what I've created. Part of my business is that I know that a lot of people aren't ready for that step to go whole hog and get a whole person, right? So, don't want to promote myself too much on this podcast, but that was the gap I saw. That's why I do remote video production, because it provides a cost-effective way. Like, I totally think people should employ a person. I just know that most people won't go all in and take that step yet. And so halfway houses will either go and get a videographer or get a remote videographer to provide a lot of that kind of simpler content. Because once you've got that, then you're starting to build a body, you're starting to create a culture of video, and everything is content. And then you've taken baby steps, and then you go, okay, we're ready to get a videographer now. Like the organization, the franchise is ready for that. So it's not all or nothing. There is a kind of halfway house. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
And I mean, lots of franchisors have franchise conferences, or bring franchisees together from time to time, and excuse me, it makes absolute sense to then sort of go, right, I'm getting several franchisees together, whatever that reason might be. That's a great opportunity to bring somebody in, and whilst we're doing that, whenever we have a break, that person can do some recording with each individual franchisee and across the board, and et cetera, and just creating that content that can then be used at a later date. And we've got regional things always going on, or often going on, or people going to the same events. Earlier, Tim, we were talking about collaboration. And I think, again, that's something where, especially, I suppose, with smaller franchisors or those who are just starting out, when you don't have a huge marketing budget, it's about looking at things creatively and going, right, okay, maybe I'm getting together with a few other franchisors. Maybe together we can commit to something and share that resource, and get a few things done. Because you always sort of look and you go, this makes sense for me to go to, but this is a half a day thing, or maybe we can tag something onto it and make it a full day thing, and just use our time a bit more productively, and get more out of it.
Yeah. I'm sure it's possible. I was just I use the phrase quite often. I was just blown away by what I saw on that particular day, and I knew there was somebody behind all of the content that we see coming out of that brand, but I hadn't seen it in action. And it was and then all of the pennies just dropped at once, and I just went, got it, absolutely got it. Yeah, very cool.
No, I was just going to say there is a slight caveat to that obviously what they have is a highly visual franchise. You've got lots of cute kids running around, playing football, which is quite cute. Now, having said that, a lot of the content they create isn't necessarily about the kids. It's about the team in the office quite often, a lot of the content. So anyone could do that, right? Because you think, well, how, we're not very interested. We're just sat in an office. Well, they seem to manage to create an awful lot of content from the guys. They're just creative about it. And frankly, if you're wondering what to do, just copy them, right? I'm sure they're not going to mind. Just copy what they're doing, see what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
Because they're moving very fast. I'm sure they'll be happy to tell you what they're doing, right? But it doesn't hurt. So if you've got a very visual brand, I mean, I'm shocked by some of the activity providers. That there was at least one of the trampoline brands. I was just shocked at how little video they had. Like most people cry out for something as televisual. You've got it easy. You've got it on a plate. What you do is so visual. Why wouldn't you create loads of video content around that? Because it's built for video. As where something like an action coach or the alternative board, it's a lot of people thinking things. It's not very televisual. That is a little bit harder to create a video around something like that than around a very visual brand. So yeah.
What this needs, it is this mindset shift. It's and that's what happened to me at the fit session. That suddenly everything just fell into place for me, and it wasn't, to me, it wasn't an added expense. It was a shift in how you approach the marketing of your brand, both for consumers and for franchisees. Really leveraging social media with somebody who knows how to do it. And to Natalia's point, sharing that cost across a couple of brands, or to your point, Kevin, using somebody like yourself to just fill that gap while the brand is building, it seems to me that it would be an extremely cost-effective way of covering a whole lot of marketing bases.
When you look at the return that it's given Football Fun Factory, it probably seemed like quite a bit expense where they were when they employed Ollie back in the day. But now, you think, well, it's a no-brainer because, how are they trying to do that level of growth? It's off the back. I'm sure there's a lot of other hard work as well, but I would guess that a lot of it is driven by that social media content that they're pushing out. And exactly. I think I've mentioned this before, but my daughter went to, it's not a franchise, but a theatre group in London called West End MT. They've got over 250,000 followers. Some of their videos, they push out loads of content, and pretty much all the kids that go there because they've seen it on TikTok, which costs them nothing. They create all of it with an iPhone, just push it out, and they get kids clamoring to join because some of those videos have been seen 8 million times. My daughter's been in a video that's, I think, been seen over 50,000 times. It's crazy, and it's all free.
Yeah, exactly. So Natalia, we're going to see you in TikToks and videos and on X and.
X or whatever it was called before. I must say I'm the generation before, so I never really got on board with that. And whilst I'd like to think that I'm quite adaptable and and quick to learn things. I suppose for me, I'm being very focused and focusing on specific things and platforms, and and I've always separated things in my life up until very recently, and now I'm sort of bringing some of it more or less together, and and again, it's sort of there'll be some more news coming out soon, so watch this space. And, yes. But you know what? I wanted to have a quick chat about this topic that's come up on LinkedIn just the other week, and it's all around sort of businesses and lifestyle franchises, and I think that's a really interesting conversation to pick up, because it seems like there certainly seems that there is sort of a negative connotation associated with the word lifestyle, that some people interpret that as being restrictive in terms of what that offering might be. And and I suppose, like, just throwing it open to both of you, but I think it's always about sort of how we use it, and how we use that word. What do we mean by that? And maybe those of us who are using the word lifestyle to describe their proposition should should stand by it, and tell the world what it means to them, so that you kind of put the stake in the ground and go, this is what I understand it to mean, and this is what it means to me. But I think, certainly from what I have seen in advising, franchisees, I think it's what you make out of that business. And I have seen some franchisees who invest in what, can often be described as a lifestyle franchise. But if you want to grow, and if you want to make it really big, the sky is your limit. You absolutely can. And even if there might be, certain restrictions that might mean that you're only going up to a certain size, well, why not sort of become a management franchise rather than owner operator, and that lifts you up to the
Natalie, can
next
I just
level.
take a step back? So what's behind this? I'm not quite sure what the context of this was. So what's the negative or positive connotation of that? What drove this in wherever you saw it?
Sure. Well, it was actually James from Football Fan Factory, funnily enough, who sort of put that out there. And so the conversation started around lifestyle franchises. I think often, when a business is described as a lifestyle franchise, somehow, I suppose the negative connotation or interpretation of that is that people look at it and go, "Oh, I'm never going to make any money from that." So it's looked at as, "Oh, it's a lifestyle choice. It's not going to be very profitable. It's not going to be very big." And I think there are businesses who are sort of going, "Well, that's not what we mean by that. Actually, for us, as a lifestyle means being able to build the business around your lifestyle. And if you have certain commitments in your life, then it's being able to flex your business around your commitments." And
I'm kind of confused by that, because I mean, for me, that's a really positive thing. Like, it depends what you define success as. I mean, like, I live in Devon. Very few people move to Devon because they want to make their fortune. They're Dick Whittington. You go to London, right, to do that. You head that way, or you head up. You don't live in, Sidmouth. Right, you retire in Sidmouth. I'm desperately trying hard not to retire in Sidmouth, but this is where people come to retire. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with doing a business that is a lifestyle business and just makes a bit of extra money, and gives you
I think,
purpose and meaning,
yeah,
and lets you define success, doesn't it?
the challenge is in the word.
Mhm.
And I might throw a cat amongst the pigeons here. I think the word lifestyle should be taken out of the narrative completely. People choose what their lifestyle is, so they can
Yeah,
do their due diligence to understand, how does this franchise opportunity work, and how does that one work. And if that one over there is Monday to Friday, 9 till 5, you have to have the commitment that that doesn't work for you. But that one over there, you can drop the kids off at school. You can do some work in the morning. You can take the kids to their activities in the afternoon. You can do some more work in the evening, whatever it is, and that fits with your lifestyle. That's fine. So I think we have to. It's quite complex, but one of the things that I'm seeing is that it is being seen quite often as a limiting factor of earnings. And so actually what that ends up doing is it allows some franchisees to earn what they want to earn, and they're under no pressure to earn any more. And that's restricting the franchisor's ability
right.
to to grow their business as a franchisor, and then their ability to significantly support their growing franchise network. So there's quite a bit to unpack in this word lifestyle. And what I'm also seeing, as I'm sure people like Andy Walters would absolutely agree with me, is the opportunity in some of the lifestyle brands is huge, but the word lifestyle is restricting that growth for many brands because um, they're not able to see the potential. So even if you are going into the brand because it fits around your family life, etc., etc., but there's still huge opportunity. Um, you can become a management franchise. You can own multiple territories. There are even within one territory, there's multiple opportunities to scale the business by bringing in employees and infrastructure, etc.
So are we saying that the word lifestyle is it that the use of that word brings does that attract not I don't want to say the wrong type of people, but you know what I mean by that? Are we attracting are we is that attracting a certain type of person, and we want to attract different type of people to that proposition, and or is it just about essentially alignment of expectations, being very clear on what is it that we expect, what is it that we mean, and making
Yeah,
sure that that fits.
yeah,
Because from where I'm sat, where I see problems arise is when the franchisee going in has one set of expectations, and that set of expectations is very different from the franchisor with whom they're entering into that relationship, right? So that will always lead to friction,
yeah,
because if you are going in expecting different things, you won't have that alignment. Now of course things can always change, and develop, and things never stand static. So that, I suppose that's fine, that happens, and we can deal with that, as and when that arises. But from sort of, yeah, it's sort of when I saw that
I
discussion
think
pop
that
up, and
point.
I think,
Yeah, I think you're the key point there, and I think that's true of most relationships, isn't it? Is that expectations? It's we've talked about franchising being a marriage or whatever. It's very early on in my marriage with Sarah. I joke about it now, but I said I can't negotiate with unspoken expectations. Could you write down what it is you want from me, and we could talk about it, right? Because if you're frustrated that I'm not doing something that I'm blissfully unaware of, I can't. There's nothing I can do about that, right? So if you tell me, just like, if I'm being stupid, just write it down, right? Let's just have clear expectations about what you want and what I want about whether it's putting up the bins or whatever it is, right? So I think that expectations is really key, because if you've advertised for stay-at-home mums who are really busy, with the school run and have got multiple kids, don't be surprised if they only want a few hours a week, right? You can't, but then turn around and be frustrated with them because they go, well, I haven't got any more than that. I just want, a bit of kind of something that's mine that I could grow for the future, and kind of keeps me busy and brings in a little bit of money, right? And that, I would say, is a lot, and that's all a lot of people are looking for, right? And my sister-in-law had a creation station at that early stage, and she enjoyed that for a while. That was all she was looking for. And if you started saying you could grow it to be hundreds of thousands, it probably just have scared her off. She would never have done it because she's not
sure,
that well, certainly
sure.
at that point she wasn't that commercially minded. That's not what she's looking for.
Agreed. And I think your point about expectations is absolutely key, Kevin, because there could be a misalignment just using the word lifestyle.
Yeah,
Um,
what do you mean by
Lifestyle on
that?
the
Yeah,
one hand could mean, oh, I'll just work when and as I want to and earn a few quid. Lifestyle from the other side could be, we can fit this business model around your lifestyle. There
yeah,
should still be an expectation on both sides of what we expect the business to to turn over. Because if you're a franchisor with 50 franchisees and they're all turning over a couple of grand a month at 10% or 8% MSF, you're not going to make a lot of money to be able to not only pay your own mortgage, etc., but also to support your 30 franchisees. It costs a lot of money. You need revenue from the franchisee point of view. That can be so. So there needs to be expectations on both sides always. I would argue, and whether we need the word lifestyle in the description, I'm not necessarily sure that we do, but that's a brand choice, I suppose. But the expectations definitely need to be set on both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that will.
And I suppose that's why, as a lawyer, I always go, well, what does that mean? It's about definitions.
Exactly.
It's about definitions. It's and that's why in documents we use definitions so that everyone is clear. This is what it means, right? What does a month mean? Does it mean a calendar month, or does it mean something else? What are we counting? But actually. And it was interesting because earlier today I was on the franchise company's first Friday, and today was
Nice.
Terry and Mark's Revive story, and I thought, and I mean, I know them both well, and I know the brand well, and it's been around for a long, long time, and I still find it so fascinating to listen to franchisor stories. And the one really interesting point that sort of I took away is when Mark and Terry were talking about the change that they went through from changing from owner operator to the management franchise, and what that meant in terms of how they adapted what they were doing as a franchisor in order to in order to attract people who wanted management franchises, and sort of how they addressed it. And that, and the really sort of the takeaway for me was when they said that they stopped training new franchisees. They stopped training them in how to paint cars. They just took that away. So then new franchisees could not be owner operators. They had to be management franchisees. And that's such a great point that it's for you really have to be creative as a franchisor and find the right way to approach and to get to achieve your goal and to get to where you're going.
No, absolutely.
And I thought the way,
and I think that's Revive is a great success story. It's been around for many years. They've evolved how the model works, and hats off to them. They understood early doors that a management franchise is not a van driver who now owns 3 vans, and it's a different animal to have a management franchise. I always used to say, you never expect the managing director of or the chief executive officer of Ford to be able to manufacture a car. He knows how to build a business and lead a team, and those are the key some of the key elements of building a strong managed business. Yeah.
Well, I was talking to
Cool.
Kristen about the Snap gyms, and their target market is if you knew nothing about how these things work, which I didn't, I might easily assume, they're looking for people who are advanced fitness trainers or something. No, they're looking for dentists. That's who they're looking for. People like dentists or effectively angel investors. That's what they're looking for. Because it costs hundreds of thousands of pounds to open one of these gyms. It's
exactly. Yeah. No. Certainly, Revive have been one of those success brands in the management franchise model. That's for sure. Yeah.
Guys, I think we're nearly at the. Tim, we've run out of time. I'm really sorry. You told me to keep us to half an hour.
All right.
Yabbering on for a half an hour, absolute maximum.
That's fine.
before they change channels. So we've got to keep it short. So it's been really good talking about content. It's been really good talking about lifestyle. And now, given how nice it is, it's going to be really good having a beer on the lawn in the sunshine. I don't know what you guys do, but I'm off to enjoy the sunshine.
I'm
I
off
will
to
be
my
doing
Friday
exactly
yoga
the same.
class. So
Oh, enjoy.
yeah,
Cool.
and you have the
Well, yeah,
race on
that's
Sunday, so
episode.
I need to
Oh, okay, so that's episode 7 done. That's great. Looking forward to episode 8. What I wanted to talk about just now, we'll carry over to episode 8.
Brilliant.
All
See you
right.
guys
See
next
you
time.
guys.
Thanks a lot.
Okay. Cheers,
Bye.
everyone. Have a great time. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.